2, 3 rounds into this fight, I said, Jan Blachowicz is doing it again, man. Like, this was Magomed Ankalaev's perfect opportunity, but Blachowicz, he might not be the fastest, he might not be the most technical, but boy, does he hit hard. And when he was beating up both legs of Magomed Ankalaev, I was like, oh my God, yeah, of course this is the game plan. This is the mobile guy who moves around too much, picks you apart at distance, take away the wheels. And he did that. However, Ankalaev showed some grit, some real championship mettle and grit to be able to come back from that. Were you really thinking, like, come round 2, round 3, you're like, wow, Blachowicz is really about to be the champion again?
Not really, Derek, to be honest with you, man. As much of a good fight Blachowicz was putting up, it still gave me good hope to see Magomed Ankalaev looking strong in those exchanges. Yeah, he's, like you said, he's getting his legs chewed up, he's getting beat up a little bit. Jan was coming on strong, but Magomed never seemed to falter, never seemed to have that bit of a moment where he even doubted himself. So yeah, sure, Jan looked amazing in the fight, especially in the early rounds, but I still had big hope for Ankalaev. Still think he won the fight, so it's rough to see a draw go through this one, man. But as much as, like I said, I wasn't surprised, or I wasn't thinking Jan was going to win that fight. It was good to see him come back and fight as hard as he did, because this was is like you said, Derek, or as rough as it is to see a split decision draw, however this unfolded. It's still good to see that the old champ is still fighting that hard, still putting up a big fight against a dark horse like this, where he could have been ran away with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But like I said, I really do think it just came down to that was the big difference. Is the power of Blachowicz is just such an equalizer that Ankalaev has to play the touch and go game, right? I don't think Blachowicz was ever in a situation where he was ready to get out of there, right? There were some big punches when Magomed was able to kind of like cuff his arm and use that kind of half guard position, just smash his face in, ground and pound. Like, that was a little rough, but there was nothing where I was like, oh, this dude's about to go out, right? So this was a very impressive performance by Magomed Ankalaev, but like I said, for Blachowicz, damn near 40 years old, bro, like trying to get the belt back, impressive performance. Now, this is what it comes down to. We need to just do a little bit of revisionist history, right? Looking back at it, rounds 4 and rounds 5, I think it's safe to say Ankalaev really came on. He was pushing the pressure. He was getting the takedown time and time again. He won rounds 4 and round 5. Now, the question is, what happens with round 1? Because we know Blachowicz won round 2 and round 3. So what happens with round 1? If you give it to Ankalaev, he should have been the clear victor, right? If you give it to Blachowicz, he should have been the clear victor. But how do we end up in this split draw type scenario? And this is why here, AJ. If you look at 2 of the cards, Derek Clearly and Sal D'Amato, I'm actually going to pull them up right now really quickly. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but ultimately, you will notice there are 2 10-8 rounds awarded right here. 10-8 in round 5 on Derek Clearly and Sal D'Amato's card in favor of Magomed Ankalaev, right? Now, my question is, how about rounds 2 and rounds 3? When you're chewing this dude's leg apart, right? This dude can barely move. We're not considering any 10-8s right there. We get a 47-47 here. We do get Ankalaev 48-46 over here. But then Michael Bell, man, you give Blachowicz all 3 of rounds 1, 2, and 3, and only give rounds 4 and rounds 5 to Ankalaev. At the end of the day, man, more than these are important, what I want to show is this. I mean, I don't know how many picks this is, bro, but this is like 15, 20 picks all in favor for the people's choice. Magomed Ankalaev, only 2 people saw it in favor of Jan Blachowicz. So now that you have that information at hand right there, I mean, realistically, is this a robbery? Was this a really close fight, or did the judges just screw up?
I think the judges just screwed up on this one, man. As much as I feel like Ankalaev should have won that fight, I don't really want to call it robbery because of the weird. You don't leave it to the judges. It wasn't necessarily the slobber knocker of a fight that we wanted on our hands, and there's a weird back and forth with the judges, man. So like, as much as I want to shout robbery, I feel like this one's a little more justified. Like, I'm not sad with the decision. Obviously, it's a little disheartening or unsettling to always have a draw, but I'm not shouting and screaming rematch and you know, clamoring from the rooftops to have this fight again. So I'm not really too upset. Are you, Derek?
Robert, it's something I'm still processing, I think, man, but I'm glad you hit that. You said, this is not something I'm really clamoring to see a rematch on. And I thought that was a little funny because Jan Blachowicz, directly after the fight, he looks over at Ankalaev and he's all like, hey, rematch? And Ankalaev looks at him, he's like, yeah, no, bro. Like, I just whooped your ass. What are we talking about, right? And then this is the controversy from here, bro. So let's actually get into the nitty gritty of what makes this a popular story. Magomed Ankalaev, through his translator, right? Of course, after the fight, he says, I did everything that I needed to do to win this fight. Where is my belt? Give me my belt. if this is how you're going to treat me, I don't even know if I want to fight for this company anymore, if I want to fight for this promotion. So you have the light heavyweight contender, a dark horse of your division, a dude who's basically smashing through everybody, just showed championship mettle and grit, say, I don't even know if your company has enough integrity for me to even want to fight for you anymore, for me to even want to have your belt. And then, AJ, this is what happens. This is the weirdness that happens. Jan Blachowicz goes back and forth between the, oh, yeah, he should have won, to, oh, well, I don't know, I'm a little loopy right now. You shouldn't interview me because I got to watch the fight back. To then, this is what I want to talk about here, AJ. Let me bring up this breaking news. Because we got something to talk about, brother. Dana White announces Glover Teixeira versus Jamal Hill will fight for the vacant title, the vacant light heavyweight championship at UFC 283 in Brazil. So if you just look at it, man, at the end of the day, he says this is a terrible main event championship fight right here. And it comes down to it. Yeah, and well, yeah, see, Jamal Hill, he said, give me Anthony Smith. They're giving him Glover Teixeira. This is the point. Dana White was so disappointed with all of this that he says, we're going to give it to two different fighters. Now, here's my question, and I'm going to let you respond here. Do you think any of this was in part of Magomed Ankalaev saying, him openly, publicly questioning the integrity of the UFC, even though they have no control over who referees fights? That's the athletic commission. Do you think that had something to do with them just saying, all right, give it to Hill, give it to Teixeira, and move on? What do you think?
If history has proven anything, Derek, Uncle Dana holds grudges, and I think this had a lot to do with it, man. You're coming in, you have the support, and Russia is taking over the UFC, and you come in, and then you start clowning, you start talking shit about, and like you said, the judges have absolutely nothing to do, but on the media, it seems like you're pushing things more towards this is the UFC's fault. So this seems like Uncle Dana really just digging into you, like, oh, okay, your fight was terrible, especially when when the boss is using actual words like that, like terrible, disgusting, all these words that really don't look good as a fight. Anytime or you're trying to get a fight promoter to promote you as a fighter, you don't want to be hearing those words. 100%. This seems, because this is left field, man. Even when the cameras are off, we were talking about this. My mind is blown. This is a left field decision, literally out of nowhere. Uncle Dana says, "Fucking, I'm giving it to Jamal Hill and Glover." Like Jamal Hill out of nowhere. I understand the Glover pick, it makes a lot of sense. You got to do it. You got to do one for the old dog. But this seems a little spiteful, Derek. Do you think so as well, or is this a purely business decision move?
I thought you knew what you were getting yourself into with the Magomed Ankalaev fight. This dude's never really a slobber knocker top fighter, right? He's a technical fighter who picks his opponents apart to get a victory. For him to not be happy with that, I'm very surprised with. But at the end of the day, yeah, I think this is I think at the end of the day, we might not see Magomed Ankalaev fight in the UFC anymore. Like, if this dude, you're not even going to give him a rematch. You're not even going to give him another title opportunity. You're just going to say, yeah, you probably should have won the fight, but nah, get out of here. Like, I don't know, folks. Let's wrap it up with this one for the main event right here, man. This was a split draw. There is still uncertainty. This ruins everybody's timeline. But at the end of the day, this does buy Yuri Prochazka a little bit more time before he is going to be pressured back into, getting back in action from that injury. So, no winner here. The dark horse of the light heavyweight championship, my pick for many years now, Magomed Ankalaev, comes up short somehow, some way. What a weird night, man. All right, let's talk about an even weirder